Sometimes destruction is necessary in order to make room for new things. In Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Indiana sets off once again on a great adventure. A relic is stolen from the University Museum, and Indiana, dying of curiosity, follows the trail to find out why it was stolen, putting his life in danger over and over again, in increasingly dangerous and hostile situations, over the course of which he loses his job at the university for being absent as well. Clearly, Indiana is a madman. No sane person would callously put their life in harm's way just to satisfy frivolous whims like mere curiosity. At least, he appears insane to a casual outsider. But perhaps there is more at play than meets the eye. Perhaps destroying his career and endangering his entire life and livelihood is just what Indiana Jones needed. Stuck in a university which doesn't nurture his archaeological passions, no love life or family to tie him down, Indy realized he must shed the shackles of his steady job in order to open himself to new opportunities. The search for the relics was just a pretense. Over the course of the adventure, Indy travels to the Vatican City, occupied by fascists, and he impersonates a member of the clergy. Eventually, he and Gina, his new tag-along assistant, find the relic being held by Nazis, guarded by a giant. Turns out the relic was actually just a container for a more ancient artifact, a piece of the Great Circle, one of 17 being sought after by the Nazis. So begins a grand hunt over the globe, chasing after the remaining pieces, each held in a famous pyramid across the globe. Following the Vatican, Indiana and Gina travel to Egypt, the Himalayas, Thailand, and Iraq, evading Nazis and delving into temples hidden deep within the pyramids, always one step behind the Nazi leader Voss. Along the way, a small romance blossoms between Gina and Indiana after Gina discovers her sister frozen to death in a tanker lodged at the top of a Himalayan mountain. She was investigating the relics, helping the Nazis. Apparently, the Great Circle pieces have the ability to transport the bearer to remote locations across the globe, which is how the tanker got up on the mountain. Gina is captured and taken to Iraq, and Indiana frivolously puts his life on the line one more time, this time to save Gina. Now with the help of the Giants, an ancient race known as the Nephilim, tasked with guarding the relics. It turns out the Great Circle was a device used to power Noah's Ark. Voss manages to reconstruct the circle and calls the powers of God, which apparently means making it rain a lot, and presumably eventually flooding the entire Earth. The heroes manage to stop Voss, and the rain ends, for reasons not entirely explained. I guess stopping Voss ends God's wrath, I'm not sure. Indiana, in the end, invites Gina to come and stay with him, but she turns him down, dabs and jumps on a plane with some random people who come out of nowhere, and the game ends. I guess not even Gina would hang out with Indiana Jones now that he's just another unemployed loser. The narrative of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is sure to please longtime fans of the franchise. Fortunately, the story feels kind of flat, and if you aren't already sold on the series, this entry probably won't change your mind. The characters were a bit bland, and Indiana Jones seems somewhat castrated, his motivations unclear, and generally just caving in to the demands of other characters. And eventually, it was unclear if he was even interested in the adventure he was on anymore at all, or just chasing after Gina. The graphics and the visuals are fine. They look a bit last gen, but still pretty good quality, and there's a lot of detail in the environments, and the face motion tracking looks good. I wasn't sure what to expect going into the game, about what kind of game this was going to be. I assumed it would be a lot like Tomb Raider or Uncharted. However, this game is more focused on stealth. Each main area has a large, confusing layout Indy can explore. However, he is almost always unwelcome. This got really annoying as it was very hard to tell beforehand that I was entering into a hostile NPC's line of sight. Always having to evade Nazis made exploring the areas troublesome. And once a Nazi is alerted, they all start to attack. Indy has almost no chance of survival. The maps are also very confusing and difficult to navigate, often featuring secret tunnels and multiple layers, making the map only slightly helpful. They made a weird decision that Indiana has to hold the map in his hands as he walks around. This was annoying because you can't zoom in on it. It's too small, and it's hard to look at very well. Also, it kind of makes Indy feel like a tourist. Holding things, in general, is super awkward in this game. Indy can only hold one item at a time, which means if he's holding a torch, he must drop it in order to pick up another item, even if they both only required one hand. Opening doors and chests is also awkward. The game forces the player to manually equip the door key and then manually turn the key every single time. What is the point of this? It is just annoying. These three issues, frequent hostile enemies, awkward map control, and awkward item handling, compound to make a trifecta of annoying level design. However, the worst feature of this game is item durability. Many games feature items which break, a pet peeve of mine in all games, even games that I really enjoy. But this game has the worst case of break your item-itis I have ever seen. Most items will immediately break after just one use. Unfortunately, the only way to sneak attack your enemies in this game is by using the item you're holding, which means you have to pick up a new item every single time you sneak attack. It doesn't matter if it's a cast iron frying pan or a heavy sledgehammer or a metal rifle, it will break within one or two uses. Actually, using the guns to shoot is also generally a bad idea, as they alert all the enemies in the area and reloading the ammo is painfully slow. Not everything was bad though. The puzzles are fun, though not particularly hard or original. When the game starts tunneling the character through certain events, I actually really started to enjoy the game. The environments are interesting to look at, and the temple dungeons are really fun. The game is generous with autosaves as well. Your mileage with this game would probably depend heavily on your own interest in Indiana Jones and your own propensity for pure stealth games. Unfortunately, the awkward mechanics and hostile game design outweighed the game's qualities for me, and I found it a bit of a trudge getting through the game. Let me know what you thought of the game down in the comments.